Hello, hello. Give a couple moments to see if this holds. We are a little late getting onto our Facebook Live today. It has been an interesting couple of days with internet. So, fingers crossed, everything's going to work and we're going to be good to go. Let's see here. See if we can get our messages going. Of my constant issue, it seems, as we go through this, but we'll see what we can do. All right. And we'll see if I can get, if you are watching, then go ahead and say hello so I can see if we've got this working, if everything's good here. Make sure that the comments are working. It's always nice when I can chat with you guys when something's happening. Oh, there we go. Oh, perfect. Yay. Hello, Denise. I think I've got this. Man, one of these days it will stop being such an issue for me. Hi. Oh, it's so good to have you here, Denise. Yeah, let me know if you guys are jumping on. I wanted to talk about today about the masks that we wear and how we can not only remove them, but how we can let go of them energetically as well. Because there's part of it that's like, you know, we become aware of the roles we're playing. It's like, oh, I'm playing the good girl, or I'm playing the people pleaser. I'm playing whatever this role is, but it was keeping me safe. And so part of the issue when we're letting some of this stuff go is we created these roles in the very beginning so that we could get one of the big four. We call them the survival four. And so there's four things that we are always trying to either have or not lose. And so that is safety, security, love, and belonging. And so we either are doing things to try and get those things, so to get a sense of security, of safety, or because we don't want to lose them. And so both of those reasons, one of the reasons we don't do boundaries very well, it's one of the reasons that we dishonor ourselves sometimes, is because we are really trying to create some sense of connection in this world. And so that's the reason that we put the masks on in the very first place, which I think is important for us to recognize. And so understanding that that comes into play is really important, because then we can be gentler with ourselves. We want to be able to have some level of curiosity and compassion. And curiosity and compassion are characteristics of our soul, of our more expanded or deeper self. And so once we recognize, like, oh, here is something that I've been doing, rather than like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. It's like, oh, like, what is it that I'm trying to get from this situation? And so if instead we can get really curious, and then we can have a deeper conversation with ourselves, what is it that I'm trying to get from this relationship? What is this role? What is it that it's trying to give me or protect? So protect would be when we've got to worry that we'll lose it. So think about it. A lot of the times it might be that we are worried about losing, you know, the respect or the love, the, you know, connection with a person. And so we keep doing things to please them without considering what we're doing to ourselves. And so this is the importance of us understanding really our values. Who am I? Because often what we don't think about is we create values and we go, or we become aware of our values, and values are kind of what our boundaries are about. And so we protect our values with our boundaries. And most of the time we think of that as somebody's not adhering to our values. And so we take it from the outside and bring it in. And what we don't think about is actually, am I protecting my values from myself? And so the boundaries are often more for us than they even are for other people. Hello, Bobby. Yay. Oh, perfect. I love when the comment section works. Beautiful. And so think about that, because what happens is if I have a value of, say, honesty, and then I'm upset with people when they're not honest with me, because that's what happens, is we get upset when somebody isn't in alignment with our values. And they're being dishonest with me, but then when I really take a look at it, my next question would be, are you being honest with them, and are you being honest with yourself? Because often it's actually the trigger comes from deep within ourselves. And so where am I not doing this? And so when we have these moments where we're looking for these things from other people, there's a moment where we also need to ask, am I giving myself this? If I'm wearing the good girl mask, it's giving me a sense of safety-ish from outside, from everybody else, but do I feel safe with myself? And so a lot of this work is definitely an inner reflection. We want intrinsic rather than extrinsic, and rather than trying to get it from everyone else, what am I really giving to myself? And when I say that, I'm not talking about the egoic defensive way of where we go, oh, fuck them. if they don't like me the way that I am, then screw them. And it's kind of that's actually another warning that we are actually protecting. And so we have guards are up, and this is a trigger response. It's actually a reaction, and we are not actually responding to the situation. It's not that we need to care about, whether somebody likes whether we do something or not, but there is this ability to have connection. Like, tell me more about that. What is this about? What is it that you need? And I might not be able to give you what you need, but maybe you don't actually need me to do something to give you that. Maybe you can have a sense of security with me not doing whatever this is that you need me to do. And so when we actually get curious, we go back to those characteristics, the values of our soul, then we can start looking like, oh, am I being compassionate here? Am I being curious? Curiosity leads automatically to compassion, and it leads automatically to connectedness. And it also supports us in releasing expectations and judgment. And so there's a lot of beauty that can come when we tap into the characteristics that we have deep, deep, deep within us. And so they are available to us all the time. We don't need to cultivate them or curate them. They actually are there. We just need to tap back into them. It's just that we can kind of forget that when we get into this more egoic state of defending and protecting. And so just knowing that as we come into why we wear these masks in the first place, because the mask itself is a form of armor. And so those are the reasons we have them, though. Love, safety, security, and belonging. Like, those are really what we want. Belonging, connectedness. You can say that in a couple different ways. But we want to feel like we belong to something. And so those are reasons that we wear the mask in the first place, that we come into it. And we don't really think like, is this really real for me? Is this true? Is this what I personally need to be doing? We don't really check in with ourselves. And so once we check in, why am I wearing this mask? Then we can start asking, is there a way I can give this to myself? Is there a way that I could ask some deeper questions and have a better relationship with this other person or with these people so that I could let this go? And so instead of it being a forced and a performance, I can come from a more authentic place, which can feel terrifying. It certainly has for me. Being, who is the authentic Dawn? It's still egoic. We're still in ego. We're still in identity. And so to be completely, authentic as the self, you always are authentic. It's just that we have these masks. We just need to strip the masks away. It's not another performance we need to put on, which can be scary, because if we've been wearing masks for a long time, I have worn a ton of them. I remember when I started meditating, it was like, I started doing some training with Deepak Chopra, or the Chopra Institute, and we were doing primordial sound meditation. And in there, you do this specific type of meditation all the time. And so you kind of retract your senses, come into yourself, come into your heart, expand out from there, and then you start asking 4 questions. Who am I? What do I want? What is my deepest desire? And what am I grateful for? And then we begin to strip masks. And so we start doing this process of, I am, in my case, Dawn Elgin. I am Dawn Elgin. I am Dawn Elgin. We repeat it silently. And then we lose the last name. I am Dawn. I am Dawn. I am Dawn. Lose the first name. I am. Lose words. And then it's so hum. And we begin this process. And then you can be given your primordial sound. So the sound the universe was making at the time of your birth. And then you begin to do your mantra. So, which would be Om, and then the sound, and then Namaha, which means the universe, myself, returning home. And so we do this practice. And so in the practice of shedding is the I am Dawn Elgin. And so in I am Dawn Elgin, it's everything that is ancestral, that is connected to family, my whole lineage, my life, culture, then when I release L again, all of a sudden it's I am Dawn, and it might be more personal masks that we're wearing. And so we're letting these things go. And so I would get this visual of like literally stripping off masks. And in those masks were, Wonder Wife, Super Mom, all these different roles that I played in the world. And then it's like, well, then who am I? And at first it was terrifying. And then all of a sudden there was this moment where it was like, oh, thank God. Like, I don't have to wear all of that anymore. I can breathe again. And then I remember coming out the first time going, well, that's weird. What a strange response to have in there. Like, oh, I can finally breathe again. And I realized, like, wait a minute, I've been a chameleon my whole life. And so who am I? That was a big question. And when I'm guiding it in meditation, the question I will ask yourself softly and silently, who am I? And then I will follow behind that and say, you're not your body, but the one that is aware of your body, the one that has been in your body at 5, at 10, at 20. You're not your mind, you're not your thoughts, but the one that's aware of thinking. And so I start to gently guide you out of this physical, connectedness to everything we think we are. And so the first time I was doing it for myself, it was like, oh my gosh, like this is a huge shift, and it can be terrifying. But then all of a sudden you get this moment of you can breathe. It's freeing. And so there's these ways that we can start to strip the masks away. And that's really what the power of meditation is. The power of meditation is we get to come home to ourselves. We become intrinsic. And so we start coming deeper and deeper within to understand what is my truth? Well, it's truth. It's law. It's so much beyond this world. And so it becomes really beautiful. Can it be a difficult practice, meditation? Definitely can. And the reason that it is because the first couple times that we do it, the mind might be wandering and it's hard, we fidget, and it's like a long time to sit. And then we have like a good one and we go, oh, that was amazing. I just feel like so good. And then right about then things start to crash and burn. Because all of a sudden the ego comes fully online and you become aware of every thought you've had. The neurotic inner roommate is loud when you actually don't do things to cope or numb it. So when we're not, playing a game or scrolling, Facebook and Instagram, and we're not, chatting with friends, we're not doing all these other things that take us away from this. We're not having a drink, we're not smoking a joint, we're not doing anything else, we're just present with ourselves, then we have to listen to that voice. The key though is in meditation is we get space, because we start to realize there's the voice and then there's me, the one that's hearing it. Which means, I don't know about you, but I can't talk and listen at the same time. So that means there's two of us. And so all of a sudden we start to realize that the ego is an energetic body that is, a pulsing living, we talked about the pain body before, is a pulsing living thing. And so, and it feeds on pain, it feeds on drama. And so the pain body and the ego, they feed off of each other, they're parasitic. And so we talked about that last week. And so when we're realizing like, oh, this is what is going on in here. Why do I keep bringing dramatic thoughts in? Well, we wouldn't have dramatic thoughts. We wouldn't have, judgment and all these things if some part of us didn't like it. And that's like an ugh moment, but it's true. And so we have to ask ourselves, well, what part of me is loving this negativity? What part of me is feeding off of this, the victim, the blaming, the poor me moments? Who's feeding on that? And so all of a sudden that's the moment where we get to start having the awareness of the pain body. We get to have the awareness of the ego, and that we're the one that's aware. And so we create space. And in the space, that's where freedom lives. And so as we strip away these masks, it's like we get to breathe again. We get to have a moment of freedom. I mean, for a long time, that was my greatest value. It changed to sovereignty a couple of years ago. It kind of developed into something deeper, but for a long time, and every so often she comes back. Like, I'm like, ooh, freedom. Like when I'm feeling trapped by something or controlled by something, outside of myself, then all of a sudden that moment will come there where freedom is like, this is what I need. So the piece I wrote down here is like, why we wear the mask. So the good girl is always agreeable and never a burden. The fixer takes care of everything but burns herself out. The chameleon changes shapes to stay liked. And the spiritual bypasser uses love and light to avoid truth and discomfort. And so, there's these things, there's way more than these, obviously, as well. But, we're looking for something. We don't want to be a burden. So if we're not a burden, then it's easier to love us. If we're doing things, we're fixing things for people, then we're going to be needed. And we don't realize, I said to my staff a few weeks back, somebody said, oh, don't worry. Like I said, do you guys need anything? They're like, no, we don't need you. And they're like, oh, no, we do need you. And I'm like, oh, no, I do not want you to need me. I would like you to want me, but I do not want you to need me. And so that has been, something my husband and I've been saying to each other for a long time. Be here because you choose to be here, not because you have to be. And so these are the kinds of we're creating connection rather than attachment. And so when we're wearing masks, these things become more of an attachment, which is why we call it cutting cords. They become attachments. And so they create codependent relationships. Codependent relationships and attachments or cords create a codependency, which is an energetic trading of energy. And so we talked a couple months ago, we were talking about energy vampires. And so energy vampiring is absolutely an example of where we have cording, where we've got a connection, whether that is to these roles that we play, to relationships outside of ourselves, to identities that we have. These things are all ways that we lose energy because we have to feed our energy to something. And then when we get depleted, then we'll often try and get energy from something. So even an argument or a fight will give us what feels like energy because we have something going on. We all of a sudden have this upwelling of energy, even if it's not a positive energy. And so when we wear them, we wear these to keep us safe, and we want them because we're afraid to find out who we are without them. And what I mean by that is we feel a fear that we won't be loved, liked, or respected if we're not wearing these masks, which can be terrifying, especially when we take them off and it actually happens with a relationship. When I made the decision that I was going to start taking them all off, I'd been a chameleon my whole life, all through elementary school, all through high school, even through, my second marriage. I remember having to say to him at the very end, the day before our divorce was put through, and he called me to deal with something with the divorce, and he said, I still love you. This is difficult for me. And I said, you don't love me. It was the hardest conversation I ever had to have. I said, you love an idea of me. You love the girl I let you believe that I was, but I didn't even know who I was. So the girl that you love is an illusion, and you get to be free now. But I'm only just figuring out who she is. And this is 3 years after we'd separated. I'm only just figuring out who she is, so there's no way you love her. And he's like, holy shit. And I'm like, yeah, I take full responsibility for my part of this marriage, but I performed and to be the good wife, to be loved, to have a family. And I didn't know she didn't know any better at the time. That was her survival. And so now that I'm figuring this out, you don't have to be sad about this. We get to be free from this. It's okay. And it was the most beautiful gift I could have given him, and it was the best gift I could have given myself. And all of a sudden we had relief that got to come from that. Suddenly he could move on with his life. I could have freedom in my life, and we got this moment of letting it all go. And so, I wore these masks for a long time, and then had to play within taking them off. And what does that mean? What is that going to mean for friendships? What is that going to mean for relationships? And the truth is as I've gotten to know myself, my friendships that I have deepened, and they are so much stronger. And the ones that went away were only based on the illusions in the first place. And so if you find yourself going through this and you lose relationships, just know that it's going to be okay. That's, again, one of the reasons why I wanted to create this community, was a community that was not based on performance, a community that was, where we could have deeper conversations and deeper connection versus attachment that is created by, us both disliking the same person, which is not healthy. And so just keep that in mind as we go through these things. There is things that is scary. I am not in any way saying that it's not. I'm just saying it's worth it. So I promise you, it is worth leaning into the discomfort of cutting these ties. And so, the cost here, the part of it, it's just not sexy. It's real. When we start telling the truth, we will lose people. We will disappoint the roles that we used to play, and the grief itself is holy. The grief itself is this ability to really let go. And so, if you find that you feel senses of grief come up, don't suppress them. Our emotions are never supposed to be suppressed. So we don't want to suppress our emotions. We also don't want to express, or expressing them in healthy ways is fine, but we don't want to express them on people. And so it's not that you did this to me, or we've got this piece that's coming out at people. Our job is to contain and safely detonate our emotions appropriately. So think of bomb disposal. And so I'm really good at having a containment field around me, because some of my emotions, as I went through a lot of rage and resentment and anger, my emotions were big and they were really, didn't make people feel safe, and people were very scared of them. And so I had to learn how to contain my emotions so that I could safely release them without making other people feel unsafe. It's the best word I could really honestly use for them. So know that, like, as we're going through. But when the emotions come up, when you feel grief rise, grief for the loss of the relationship, grief for the role that you played, that's okay. Feel it. Lean back. Zoom out. We kind of lean back, and so then we can see the emotion. We can sense it. We can feel it. Give it its texture. What color is it? What taste is it? What does it smell like? Does it have a color? Get to know the emotion of grief, of whatever comes up. Let it rise, and once you let it rise, it starts to dissipate. It's like a cloud that just starts to break apart, and so it just releases and lets go. And that's the appropriate way for us to handle our emotions responsibly. And so lean back, let them rise, and then release them, instead of getting caught into the drama, which is our pain body and our ego that's doing that to us. So that's kind of the safe way to release these pieces. The reason that we want to lean into the discomfort is the other side of that is peace. Once we start letting go of the masks, we start getting a sense of peace, of self-respect. We get, self-love. No longer do we have to go out and do anything to get these things. They just are there. They're all there once we're home with ourselves again. And so there is nothing that is more powerful, that is more worthy than doing these pieces of our work, because as we do them, we change and shift the vibrational frequency of ourself, which immediately begins the ripple effect. We change, and then it ripples out into our home, for our children, for our loved ones. It ripples out into our family, into our friends, into work, into the community. And it continues that rippling all the way out as we change frequencies. We change the frequency of the earth. And the more of us that are doing it, the high vibrational frequency of the earth itself as a whole it sits at, and we start to enact change worldwide, which is kind of the goal. There's some really cool stuff that's out there of like Buddhist kids meditating together and then measuring the bioelectromagnetic field of the earth and it changing while they were meditating. So there's some really cool science behind what can change when we do our work and when we are in a state of peace, calm, love. That really is something that we can't do any other way, which is a beautiful thing. So there's a ritual to this that I want to give you guys today. And so the ritual is, we want to name the mask that we're wearing. So if you want to, you can place them in the comments. If you are not feeling comfortable putting them public, then you can always put them outside. You can message them with me. But there's a lot of beauty. I've just given you all of mine. So, I've worn them, and every so often I don't even realize I've picked one back up. And then it's just simply my job to put it back down. And so don't, feel embarrassed. Don't feel shy. If you've got a mask where you're like, I'm ready to let this one go. And maybe it's a defender mask. Maybe it's not, the good girl or the peacekeeper. Maybe the mask that you're wearing it's an armoring mask. And so just notice what's there for you. And so even if you don't want to name it publicly, you can just simply write it down. I encourage journaling big time. It has been such an incredible gift that has been given to me. It has been almost 50 days of me journaling every single morning, doing a 10-minute brain dump. I highly recommend it. I was against journaling personally. And it is been so incredible what it has given me. So I do encourage you to write down the name, be able to put it on paper so that you can go through the ritual. And so you can do this physically. So I always rub my hands to activate both my heart. So our heart meridians come through our palms of our hands, as well as activate left and right hemisphere of our brain. And we can place one hand on our heart and one hand kind of on your low abdomen. So think like your womb space. And we just want to start breathing deeply into our body. So if you can, I encourage you to close your eyes for a moment and just start to take some deeper breaths, breathing all the way down into your womb space. Starting to feel your body. Notice how your body expands as you breathe in, and how it gently retracts as you breathe out. With each inhale, there's expansion. And with each out breath, exhale, there's a release, a retraction. And as you're breathing, I just want you to visualize that mask. Maybe it's heavy. Maybe it's cracked. Maybe it's even light on your face. Maybe it's thin, maybe it's thick. And as you exhale, just slowly release the mask, just taking it off. You can use your hands, you can energetically just let it be pulled away from you, pulling it away from your field. And maybe you just allow it to just fall onto the ground. And just let your body breathe again. Feel the lightness of your face, the air on your skin, your lips. And say out loud, regular voice or whisper, I release this mask. I no longer need it to be safe. I am safe in my truth. I return to myself now. And just feel what comes up. Tears, tingling, resistance. It's all welcome here. Just notice it. And just witness it without resisting, without gripping or clinging. Just soften, witness. Allow whatever needs to rise, and let it fall. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes and just come back into this space, into this time. Hello, Carrie. So just releasing those masks, letting the masks go. Being able to, I would never like cutting. So if we're doing cords, I'm never, even if I'm doing energy mastery work, I never cut a cord, just because then we're leaving a part of it anchored within us. And so on the shamanic side, it's very much about, we maybe push the cord out or we pull it out, like whatever that is. But same with the mask. We don't want to, we want to just let it fall. We want to remove it and let everything just shed away from us. And so it's very much something that we can do for ourselves. This is about empowerment. It's about being able to take care of ourselves. And understanding that the only thing stronger than the mask is the woman underneath it. It was only after I started to release the masks that I started to recognize, like, I actually have a lot more courage than I ever gave myself credit for. I did not give myself the credit that my soul deserved. And it was only when I started putting the masks down that I started to go like, oh, she's actually kind of funny. For a long time, I wouldn't have smiled with teeth and I wouldn't have laughed out loud in public because, I'd been told that my laugh was too much and, my smile wasn't very pretty. And so these were things that we go through. And so we even those masks, those chameleons, oh, you smile, a little bit of teeth, but not much, and we don't laugh like, but we don't really let it get there. And I remember the first time I heard myself laugh as I released these masks, and it was like, I kind of surprised myself. And I remember I was doing a photo shoot for business, and she purposely got me to laugh at something, and I looked up and laughed. And you've maybe seen the photo, I've got a huge laugh going, and she took that totally unscripted, and I had no idea she had the camera in her hand. And there was this moment of like rebirth. It was like, oh. And she's like, I love your laugh. It was the first time I'd heard somebody say that to me. And so as we release these masks and the real us gets to come out, all of a sudden somebody looks at us and goes, oh my God, I love your light. I just love like your energy. And so the people get to know us and they get to fall in love with our truth rather than these illusions that we've created for safety. And so I promise you this work is worth it, 100%. I would love to hear from you today on this stuff. Like what masks have you noticed about yourself? Where have you already taken some of them off? You know, and what have you noticed about yourself when you do it? If there's one where you're scared to take it off, let's have a conversation about it, because you do not need to do this alone. We are very individual, but we're also very tribal. We are unity. We are, connected. And so your healing matters. It matters to me, matters to the rest of our community. So, I want to hear from you on that. Remember, you're not too much. I wrote it down. You're not too much. You're not too raw. And the truth that has been waiting, you are the truth that has been waiting to breathe. So I hope this brought you guys some value today. Tomorrow I've got a new podcast that is going to be going out, and I'm super, super excited because it is on the principles of co-creation. Last week I did fate versus destiny, what the difference was. And this week I'm going to be talking about how everything's a choice. And so these are the 7 principles that I actively work with every single day in my life, that have helped me heal, helped me let go. And I still keep working with them because there's still more work to do. I hope you guys have a miraculous day, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.